Okay, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm really excited, slash a little bit weirded out that we still have to talk about the topic that we're going to be talking about today. And no, don't worry, it's not the plethora of odd messages that you're getting into your inbox from a member of the opposite sex, telling you how great you look. I mean, personally, this doesn't happen to me that often, and I'm not entirely sure whether I should be flattered that maybe I've set like super strict boundaries and, got my personal profile down to a privacy T, or whether it's just that the photos I post up are not attracting anyone. Maybe I'm too open about the fact that I'm not single. Who knows? So there are a couple of things I want to cover off before we get started today. One, I've had a lot of people message me and ask how skiing was. So it turns out that actually, if you didn't catch my blog in the free Facebook group or on my website, which we have recently revamped, if you head over, sneaky, to www.smartleaderssell.com, you can see the new fancy branding, pick up a few epic freebies, and go and check out the new blog on my skiing survivor stories. I feel like that's what we're going to have to call them. Basically, turns out I'm not an Olympic skier in the making. However, what I would like to point out is that I did go. I within 2 days was on a blue run that was like 8 kilometers long. And I only had about 30 tantrums. There were only about 30 times where I had to stop because the slope was too steep and just cry because it turns out really scared of heights. So yeah, skiing, do you know what? At the end of the week, actually surprisingly successful, could navigate down different blue runs. And blue runs are 2 steps up from baby slopes. So, I'm going to take that kudos where I can. But yeah, so for all of you that have messaged me about skiing, the trip was lovely, full of snow, which is exactly what you want when you ski, full of beer, full of wine / vin chaud, which was lovely, or vin chaud if you are particularly, or you have a particularly good French accent, which I don't. I have an appalling French accent. And yeah, it was really good to get out, do something different, turn my phone off, and just, turn off my notifications. So masses of thanks to, the people in my team who actually kept everything going. Beth, Scott, Amanda, looking at you. And yeah, the holiday was great. It was good to get away. Now, I'm also recording this today. So obviously this is my let's be fully transparent on the podcast, shall we? This is my second day back from holiday, so I'm kind of catching up. I said to Scott, I like to do the deep dive episodes fairly live. Can I say that? Is it? Podcasts obviously are automated, but I like my content to be as live as possible, so that when you guys come into the Facebook group and you talk about it or share about it, it's still actually relevant. It's still going on. Rather than it being like 10 months away and you going, oh yeah, Jess, you did this great podcast episode on like list building. And I'll be like, oh, when? So anyway, get to the point, Jess. It's 2 days after I've come back from holiday. I'm still pretty much in holiday mode. I haven't actually unpacked my suitcase. I'm literally looking at it on the floor. Just got all of my stuff in there. I've taken my toothbrush out and, all the stuff that I actually need to wash. The rest of it's just going to sit there probably for about a month, because that's how we roll in this house. We tend to be using them so often that they never really go away properly. But this morning I got up at 2:45 a.m. and at 3 o'clock a.m., which, would really rather there was not 2-3 o'clocks in the day, and would really rather that I wasn't up at the earliest one, drove up to London and was on television. I was on a UK program which is very popular called Good Morning Britain. And for those of you who aren't in the UK, it's basically like a news show where they talk about topical events, and they asked me to go on and talk about the recent Facebook data breaches, which is a really interesting one. As somebody who runs an online business, being asked to talk about the potential dark side to social media is actually really challenging. But it was one of those things, one of those opportunities that when I took it, I felt like this is something that's genuinely important to me. I believe that social media is amazing. I've grown a very successful business on social media. I'm very grateful to it for that reason. However, I don't believe that everyone is necessarily the same as me. And I'd like to think that I'm quite a good person. I'd like to think that I run my business in the most ethical way possible, that I run it with integrity, that I, work really hard to make sure that we're as transparent as possible so that people can genuinely learn the things that they need to learn to get to where they want to be. And so when I was asked to talk about this topic, this fact that actually there have been these data breaches and that people have been manipulating this information and using it for, gains that perhaps actually shift the way that society works and shift the way that the world works monumentally. I was kind of geared up. I've seen a lot of stories recently of people who have genuinely been caught out by things on social media, and it sparked the idea for today's episode. So if I do sound tired, I apologize. It's because I've been up since 3 a.m. Also, potentially because I already have a glass of wine in front of me. I would like to point out it's after 5 p.m, so that's okay. Totally okay with that. But today's episode is about where you actually should be focusing in your business, depending on where you are. And it's something I've talked about in my members community. It's something I probably harp on too much, I guess, with my one-to-one clients about it. But it became particularly prevalent today as I was talking to the lovely Piers Morgan, who actually is a total dream at 6:30 in the morning. Really, really nice guy. And when I was talking to him and the other presenter, Susanna Reid, about what happens on Facebook, I accidentally came out with the word comparisonitis. And Piers Morgan looked at me and went, comparisonitis? Now, you can't see this, potties, but I'm pulling my Piers Morgan face, and it's not necessarily the most attractive one that I've got, but, I'm working on it. So he basically was kind of flabbergasted about this comparisonitis thing, and then he was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, okay, it's become this platform where we have to compete for attention, we compete for likes. And in the business world, sometimes this means that we end up, specifically when it comes to making money in our businesses, when it comes to moving forward in our businesses, it means that we actually compare ourselves really badly to where other people are. Now, sometimes that's fine. Okay. Sometimes if you're comparing yourself, obviously we don't want to get into the habit of comparing ourselves and going, oh, well, this person's so much better than me. But sometimes if we're looking at, okay, where are other people at my level? What are they doing? Where are they focusing? Am I kind of achieving at the same rate they are? Then those things can be, healthy guidelines. They can be healthy competition in some spaces. But what we're actually seeing a huge spate of is people who are genuinely buying into a lot of stuff that they just don't need because of all this comparisonitis that we're seeing. So for me, it's not a rant episode, but what I want to do is be very, very transparent, because what I'm really tired of seeing is people coming to me and going, Jess, I'd love to work with you, but I have spent so much money on insert shiny object. That was my plural thing there. That actually I'm terrified that my business now won't work. When the reality is that those people, probably don't need to pay me or work with me. They actually need to learn the basics. Or where people have been, given the latest golden goose strategy, and actually they didn't need it to automate and scale their business. So today I just want to be very, very transparent about how you can identify where you are in your business and how you can use that to understand what it is that you actually want to be focusing on, the core activities that you want to be focusing on, and if you do want to invest in anything, what you 100% should invest in and what you 100% should not touch. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a little bit of an odd one. I'm going to look at it in terms of revenue because I figured that would be the easiest way to do it and break it down. So I'm going to go in categories of less than 5K a month, 5 to 10K consistently a month, and then 10K plus per month, because in all honesty, once you get past 10K, it really doesn't make a difference how much it is. You're going to be doing the same things. So if you know what level you're at, feel free to skip ahead to your section, or if you just want to catch up and hear the reality of, where you are, learn where you might self-identify, then stick with it and I will whiz through them all and give you all the juicy goss on what you really need to know. So let's dive in. I have a sudden urge to sing gurus everywhere. I can't think of anything that rhymes with everywhere though, apart from hair. So I might have to work on that rhyme for next time. But let's start with less than 5K a month. Okay. So if you are running a business and it's currently making less than 5K a month, please turn off your Facebook ads now. Don't look at anything. The simple reason is that when your business is making less than 5K a month, your only job in your business is to make money. That's it. There is literally nothing else that is important in your business at this point. And I say this with the caveat that obviously when you start a business, you must know what you want to sell and who to. You've got to have that clarity there. If you don't have that clarity, then it's very, very difficult to scale your business at all in terms of revenue. All right. But let's use the caveat that you know what you want to sell and you know who to, and you're making less than 5K a month, you only need to focus on selling. Okay, so that means that every day your focus needs to be on bringing in or generating revenue. So whether or not you are focusing on one-to-one or done for you or some other kind of high ticket offer, which I would highly advise because, high ticket is how you're going to get your cash flow quicker, then you need to be focusing every day on things like booking discovery calls, having sales conversations with people, promoting high ticket offers, making sure that you're going out there and you're using the network and the audience that you already have. Okay, so if you're making less than 5K a month, now is not the time to go out and start building a brand new audience, because your business, in order to thrive, needs to make money. If you're making less than 5K a month, investments in terms of business development need to be in sales. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm a sales coach. You can go with any sales coach you want. You can buy a book on sales. You can get a membership on sales. You can buy a sales planner, whatever you want. It's not that you have to go out and invest in a one-on-one coach who's going to teach you how to sell. In fact, I'd prefer it if you didn't, because in all honesty, one-to-one sales coaching, again, is not something that a beginner needs. What a beginner needs is to focus on the basics of sales. So things like understanding how to run a successful sales call, how to promote discovery calls, how to have an effective launch, and basically understand the foundational principles behind why people buy, what you need to do in order to help people make a buying decision on a sales call or in your email marketing or similar, and ultimately know how to plan out a sales process like a launch. That's it. Less than 5K a month. That's all you need to know about sales. In all honesty, if somebody came to me at less than 5K a month and said, Jess, I want to work with you one-on-one on sales, I'd say, you don't need to do that. You need to either go and read my book, which is currently $9.99 on the Kindle or paperback, or you need to go and join a membership. Okay, you can join mine if you want, but again, you're going to obviously resonate with who you resonate with. Okay. And the purpose of this episode is not for me to sell you a bunch of stuff. It's for me to tell you honestly, this is, if I could go back and rebuild my business and look at, and take out all of the money that I spent on shiny objects when I started, this would be how I do it. Okay. And just for the record, I was talking to my VA, Beth, about this the other day, and I said, do you remember when I wrote this post in my Facebook group and I talked about the amount of money that I had completely wasted on shiny objects in, I think, year one of my business, and it totaled out to about $13,000, which is about £15,000. And I literally just blown it on shiny objects. And I was like, the money that I blew on shiny objects that A, I did nothing with, and B, my business was not equipped to cope with, that actual sum of money in the end, I could have paid a one-on-one coach, a very good one-on-one coach, but didn't, because I was like, oh, well, I can't afford it. But because I spent so much money on just honest crap, well, not crap, the content I'm sure was very good, but it wasn't right for where I was in my business, and nobody explained that to me. It meant that actually I lost out, and there were a lot of growth opportunities that I didn't take because I wasn't aware of the true implications. Okay, so please, at this stage of your business, when you're making less than 5K a month, really think about your investments. Don't get sucked into, if it's super expensive, it's going to be the best option, because in all honesty, your job when you're making less than 5K a month is to become profitable. And you're not going to become profitable, you're going to find it very difficult to become profitable if you invest in lots of high ticket coaching. Now, I would define that as investments over $2,000. Okay. So if it's over $2,000, it's going to take you a long time, potentially as a newbie or somebody who's making less than 5K a month, to pay that off. So please be sensible about your investments, and please make the right investments into sales skills that will help you recoup your costs, and at the same time give you those foundational skills that you need to really make sure that your business thrives and that you get the best out of it. Now, when you are making less than 5K a month, obviously there are a couple of bare minimum bits that you are going to need in your business so that when you get clients, you make your life easier. So things like contracts, always have a contract. And obviously your kind of traffic generation or traffic capture. So email autoresponders, again, you can still get free versions on MailChimp. I personally prefer ActiveCampaign, but it is what it is. And make sure that you have a social media profile of some sort. Okay. To make 5K a month, you really don't need ads. You don't need to be on every social media platform. You just need to be consistently focused on sales and putting out good content. Now, if you're making 5 to 10K a month consistently, your focus is now traffic. Okay. So I've said to people that when I started, I was very fortunate. I made my first 6 figures in 6 months of my business because I focused on high ticket cash flow. So I focused on one-on-one sales, and that was my priority. I wanted my cash flow to come from there. And so actually it made it much easier for me to make or generate a lot of revenue in a short period of time. You don't have to run massive group programs or have massive launches to make 100K in your business. Okay, so if you're looking at making 5 to 10K a month consistently in your business, you still don't have to have group programs. Okay, you still don't have to suddenly set up a membership site. You still don't have to suddenly set up like tons of webinar funnels or, tripwire offers or anything like that. 5 to 10K a month can still be you're taking on high ticket or premium clients, done for you, done with you, one-to-one, high level masterminds, corporate contracts. There are so many different ways of doing it that I don't want you to pigeonhole yourselves. But at this stage in your business, you still want to be thinking about high ticket offers, but your job and where you really want to be focusing is on traffic and audience building. Okay, this is where it becomes really important, because as you start to get to 5 to 10K a month consistently, and what that means is basically being able to make between 5 and 10K a month every month for 3 months as a minimum, you start to run out of your warm audience. Okay, so obviously you don't, they don't leave, but either they'll already be working with you, or they will have recently worked with you and they'll be starting the kind of referral process. And actually it means that your sales cycle might actually plateau or slow down. So what you want to be doing at this stage is focusing on audience growth. How can you build your audience? Now, again, you can do this for free. You can do it with organic traffic, or you can do it with paid traffic. Now, one of the things that I've always loved is talking. Everyone's like, oh, what a surprise. But one of the things I've always really loved is talking and networking. So when I looked at building my audience, when I was at this point in my business, and I realized that actually I needed new blood, I needed people to get to know me, I needed to become a brand rather than just somebody that, you know, a couple of people had worked with and had good results. I decided that my strategy was going to be very much focused on things that I enjoy doing. So talking, networking, and blogging. Okay. And so my focus on audience building was mainly organic. I focused on getting featured on telesummits. I focused on getting interviewed on podcasts. I focused on networking events, like attending networking events as a delegate and meeting people and building relationships that way. I focused on writing blogs and making sure that, you know, I was writing content for sites that would drive congruent traffic to me, to my audience. And I focused on making sure that I was showing up regularly in other spaces, you know, with other Facebook group leaders and providing value to their communities. You know, that I was doing it in congruent, not competitive communities, and I wasn't, you know, hacking anyone off and doing it in the wrong way. And if you're not sure about the right way to interact in Facebook groups and get clients without being spammy McSpammerson, please make sure you go and check out the episode. I think it was, I want to say a September or October episode, where I talk about how to navigate Facebook groups, how to get clients from Facebook groups without being one of those gross people that is like, hey, vulnerable post, and then tries to, you know, make money pimping your pain for profit. So anyway, I digress. 5 to 10K consistently, you need to be focusing on traffic. If you're going to do it organically, think about how you can bring congruent audience members into your circle, where you're going to put them. So Facebook groups are pretty popular, forums are popular, Twitter hubs used to be popular, LinkedIn communities used to be popular, your email list should always be in the background because it's your only real estate. But you need to be thinking about, you know, how you're going to find the right type of people, and also what medium you want to use. For some of you, that might be YouTube. It might be setting up your own podcasts, appearing on other people's, networking, blogging, guest blogging, telesummits, giveaways, participating in competitions, featuring yourself as a guest expert or offering to be a guest expert for other people's communities, and so on. Again, hundreds of ways to do it. Pick the ones that appeal to you and do 2 or 3 really well, rather than trying to do tons of them. Okay. You can also at this stage go down the paid route. So I always say, if you're making less than 5K a month, Facebook ads are not for you. And I stand by that because I feel like Facebook ads can be a black hole when it comes to pouring your money away and not really seeing anything in return, especially if you are somebody who's newer to creating ads and not necessarily on top of the changes on the dashboard and things like that. If you're making 5 to 10K a month consistently and you're thinking, actually, my income is doing really well and it's consistent at the higher end, you know, nearer the 10K, and I'd like to pay a Facebook ads manager, or I'd like to go and learn how to do my own Facebook ads really well, this is the time where you can start spending money and investing money into paid traffic. So Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Twitter ads, any kind of, if you want to pay somebody to do your PR, or you want to, you know, take a course on how to do your own PR, anything like that, this is the time. Okay. Ultimately, this is the kind of level where it gets a little bit scary, because your investments actually do at this point jump up, and your earnings will kind of be plateauing at this level, because there is only so many high level clients that you can take on before you start exchanging time for money, before it becomes a really big problem, before you have to hire into your team, before actually, you know, you're kind of snowed under with clients. So it means that your marketing and your sales activity goes down and you end up on this weird like feast or famine cycle. So before that happens, make a clear decision about how you're going to add people to your audience and go and focus on that. Now, I personally would stick to one or the other, either organic traffic or paid traffic. If you try and do both, your brain will go into complete meltdown and it will be very, very difficult. Again, it's a massive mistake that I made. I tried to do everything at once, and in all honesty, I'm very open about this. I did a webinar. I spent £180 on Facebook ads, and I got 17 signups. It was incredibly painful. I was not happy, and it didn't end up in me getting any clients anyway. So I personally would go for one or the other. I was much, much more successful with PR, with podcasts, with telesummits, because actually I could showcase my expertise on those, and it made it really easy for people to understand what they'd be getting if they came to be part of my audience. All right. So 5 to 10K consistently a month. Your big focus is on traffic. And again, if you're looking to invest, either invest in paid traffic or invest in courses that are teaching you how to market yourself appropriately to get more leads. That's it at this stage, is, focus on your traffic generation, your lead generation, and don't get suckered in by funnels and stuff like that too early. Then we get onto what everyone kind of calls the sexy level. So 10K plus. And in the online space, 10K has become the magic number. I'm not sure how that's happened. I'm not even sure why that's happened. But nevertheless, 10K months are kind of the sign that apparently you have made it online. Now, I want to be very, very clear. There is nothing different between earning 10K a month as there is 20K a month, 30K a month, however many thousands of dollars or pounds a month. At this point, the activities that you do will not change. The way that you run your business will. Okay, so at this point in your business, your focus is very much on automation and scaling. So automating, looking at funnels, working out what you can potentially run on Evergreen, whether or not you can automate certain programs. It's on scaling. So growing your team, understanding how to delegate, manage and outsource bits of work that actually aren't relevant or aren't useful for you to do anymore. And then it's about product diversification. So at this point in your business, when you're making 10K plus, actually you now have an audience that is consistently growing, and you have a strategy to keep it growing. You also have the sales skills that you need to be generating revenue, high ticket revenue, and hopefully by this point, you'll have expanded out into a couple of group programs or something like that, so that you can always create money with those foundational sales skills. What you will then look at is your product diversification, because now that you're starting to get this audience who are coming in regularly, you're getting regular leads, your audience is growing consistently, you can afford to go down the lower ticket route. And this is where funnels come in. Okay, and this is why it's at the 10K month mark that you really want to start. If you want to scale past that, that's when you want to be looking at funnels. Okay, that's when you want to be looking at things like automated webinars. It's when you want to be looking at things like creating tripwire offers, when you're going to start creating passive income products, because at this point you have the traffic to do so and you're doing it consistently. You have the money to invest or reinvest in paid traffic if that's what you want to create self-liquidating offers with tripwires. And it's at this point where, to be quite honest, you have an audience size that is large enough to cope with low ticket, high volume offers. Okay, so things like membership sites, things like passive income products, things like books. If you're anything like my business, stationery is the next thing we're doing. We just obviously released the planner and all that kind of thing. This is when you want to be looking at it. Now, I know that some people are going to be like, but Jess, there are so many courses out there that are teaching that, you can set up an automated webinar right from the beginning. And yes, you can. Okay, I want to be very, very clear about there are some very respected people in my industry who will teach you right from the get-go. You can go out, do an automated webinar, run a ton of ads, sell a program that is high ticket, and off you go. And that is true. Some people can. However, if you have never run a Facebook ad before, if you've never run a webinar before, if you have not worked with clients before, if you've not sold a high ticket program before, it's actually a lot of variables to put in one automated or practically entirely automated process. Okay. And that's why you don't want to be doing that right at the beginning. Because if you end up running a fully automated process right at the beginning, you're front loading an awful lot of costs in your business that may or may not be recouped at that time when you don't need to. Essentially you're adding extra risk to your sales process and to your journey as an entrepreneur. And, ain't nobody got time for that. All right. So when you're making this 10K a month, now is the time to think about what kind of automation you want in your business. Now, again, I'm somebody who likes talking. I'm somebody who likes teaching. That's just how I like my business to run. I like my business to run on value. For me, it made sense to put my content on auto when it was content that I was teaching consistently. So things like webinars. And I have a bunch of evergreen webinars that go out to paid traffic. And at the end of them, they sell courses, or they go into discovery calls with me, or they sell passive products that I have very little to deal with. And yes, a bulk of my revenue does come from those sources. And yes, it's very easy for me now because we've been through the testing and tweaking process. And so I can pretty much sit back and go, oh yeah, we'll just turn them on and turn them off kind of thing. However, when you start out, be aware that you are going to have to go through that testing and tweaking process. The funnel is not going to be perfect the first time you make it. And it's really, when you're creating this funnel, when you're looking at your automation, it's really about looking at what do you want to do? What medium are you really comfortable with? If you're really comfortable with video, do a video series. Do an automated webinar. If you are somebody who is, a real copywriting pro, it might be worth you setting up a PDF checklist into a really fantastic email marketing sequence. It might be that you follow, a kind of product launch formula type model. It doesn't matter what you pick. The point is that you do it in accordance with how you actually like to operate. If you're somebody who hates the camera, you don't want to use video, please don't try and push yourself to set up a 3-part video series straight away, because it just won't work. It will make you feel really uncomfortable. The other thing is that when you're making 10K a month plus, it's much easier to have a few financial slip-ups. So you can afford to go out there and get fancy webinar technology if you want to make your life easier. You can afford to go out there and test different styles of ads, different copy, different graphics, because you're not throwing the money away. You are making a clear investment. You're finding out what actually works and what works the most efficient, or in the most efficient way, for your business. Okay. It's much easier to do that when you're making 10K a month, because honestly, at that point, making those investments and losing money, which you will when you set up your first funnels, you will lose money. There will be some things you do that just don't work and you won't know why. And then suddenly something will click and it'll just start working because you'll test it and tweak it to the nth degree and it'll happen. But at that point, you're not as worried about finances. Okay, you're not as worried about cash flow, and that actually makes it easier to be detached from the process. It means you're split testing as opposed to thinking, oh my God, if this funnel doesn't work, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills and I'm going to be living off pot noodles. All right. So that's why I'm saying to people, 10K a month, that's when you want to start really looking at funnels. Okay. That's when you want to start thinking about how can I embrace passive income products into my business? How can I start putting some things on autopilot so I have more time freedom, but also, I'm able to increase my cash flow at the same time. It's, most people at this point are looking to increase their freedom and flexibility from the way that they're working, and they're able to put tried and tested group programs, tried and tested courses into the market on an automated basis and know that their audience are still going to get results. The other thing that you're going to be looking here that I've kind of touched upon a little bit is product diversification. Okay, so obviously as you start to get towards the higher revenue brackets, it's pretty much impossible to release another one-to-one offer. Again, you just don't have the time, and you don't want to be creating another 9-to-5 for yourself, or worse, an 8 till 8. So at this point in time, you have this audience size that is growing, and it's at this point in time where you'll find that your audience are starting at different places. You'll find that people are finding you in different ways. And so actually you'll have a couple of different lead magnets. You'll have a couple of different tripwire offers. And this is when you'll be starting to look at those low ticket offers that aren't necessarily going to make you tons of money unless you sell in a high volume. Now, when it comes to investment, at this stage, it's about looking at what you actually want to do and the kind of business you want to run. For example, if you want to build a business model that is about embracing that low ticket, high volume, it might be that you want to set up a membership site. And so actually the best thing for you to invest in is a course teaching you how to create and grow a membership site. It might be that you want to look at funnels, and in that, or from that perspective, you'll be looking at, okay, how can I learn about funnels? Is there a course? Is there a high-level mastermind? Is there a one-to-one coach? At this point, if you are looking at high-level sales strategies, so if you're looking at automating your sales, scaling your sales to 10K plus, so you're looking at 15, 20, 25K a month, this is when you potentially want to be working with somebody one-to-one, because you're not going to be able to build a cookie cutter business based on, as much as I'd love to say it, Russell Brunson's teachings. Okay. Some people will. They will have the dedication, they'll have the time, and for them it will immediately click. Some people, like me, it won't. It will take time. Okay, it will take testing, it will take tweaking, it will take tech savvy. And if you're not all of those things, now is the time to hire somebody one-to-one. Now is the time to speak to somebody honestly and say, okay, this is the direction I want my business to go in. How can I best do that in the most efficient way that works for me, that works for my time freedom, but also it works for my customer, it gets them the best results at the right level for where they're at. Okay, so really at this point in time, when you're making 10K plus a month, it's not about going and investing in every single funnel option. Choose one or two and look at what you actually want to achieve with your business. If you want to go down the low ticket, high volume route, think about what you're going to be selling. Is it going to be something with recurring revenue like a membership site? Is it going to be something like mini courses? Is it even going to be something like books that lead into events and stuff like that later down the line? Look at also your automation. How are you going to set this up? And make sure that at this point you definitely have a team that is going to be able to support you. 10K a month plus is much harder to do on your own. And my biggest regret at that stage was that I didn't hire a team quick enough. I decided that I could do it all by myself. And in the end, I was like making crazy PDFs at 11 o'clock at night and thinking, how the hell did I manage to do this to myself? This isn't exactly the dream life that I was expecting. So at this point, you definitely want to have a team to help you. You definitely want to be able to rely on those foundational sales skills that you built up from the less than 5K a month stage. You definitely want to be generating consistent traffic, whether that's paid or organic. And this stage, this 10K a month plus, is all about automation, scale and delegation, and product diversification. All right, so looking at how you can grow your team, how you can set up funnels that give you the time freedom that you're looking for, but increase your income, and then how you can look at diversifying your product or service range. It might be that you step away from done for you. At this point, it might be that you step away from one-to-one and you focus on hybrid group coaching programs or high-level masterminds, or you go down the completely low ticket route of recurring revenue subscription-based businesses. Subscription boxes are really, really popular at the moment. The key thing to all of this is that you don't have to rely on any one system. And sometimes what we see in the market is that people go, this is the only one thing that you ever need to do. And for a long time it was webinars, right? Everyone was like, oh, webinars are the only one thing, the only one sales tool that you need. And they are my favorite. I'll be honest, webinars are my absolute fave. However, for somebody who hates video, or who hates putting presentations together, or who hates sitting live on a webinar or trying to record it like it's live, it might not be your thing. And that's okay. What I don't want people to do when you look at this is to go, what did Jess do? And I'll just do that because it made her successful. And I don't want you to look at any of the other gurus. Did I just really put myself in the category of guru? Gosh. How times change. But I don't want you to look at any of the other people and say, oh, this person's doing that and it made them really successful, so that's what I'm going to do. Because honestly, the only person who can create the best business for you is you. And sometimes that means not following the crowd. Sometimes it means saying to yourself, actually, video isn't my jam, but I love audio. So I'm going to set up a podcast and I'm going to use that as my traffic source. And then, from my podcast, I'm going to drive people into high-level hybrid offers. I'm going to do masterminds. I'm going to focus on, those kinds of things. And that's what's going to take me to these 10K plus months. It might be that you're more like me and I'm somebody who likes to have 3 main price points: cheap, medium, expensive. That was very blunt. I can put that as low ticket, high volume, medium, mid-range pricing, and then premium, if that sounds better for you. But ultimately, that's how I like to build my business. I like to have entry points at different levels, because when it comes to sales and when it comes to what I teach, there are different foundations, and I have 3 different ideal clients. As a newbie starting your business, you will only probably have 1 ideal client. So you'll only need 1 particular entry point. And ideally, that should be a premium price point so that you can, again, increase the cash flow. So it really is about listening to this episode and thinking, what do I actually want from my business? Where am I in my business, in terms of how much revenue am I generating? And then what do I actually need to focus on? So if you're going away from this episode today, make sure that you take away from it. If you are making less than 5K a month, please only focus on sales. Don't focus on making your website. Don't focus on your branding yet. Don't focus on any of that stuff, because it all changes so quickly anyway. Just focus on becoming profitable and invest in learning about sales. Okay, whether it's at an entry point, books, planners, memberships, group programs that are designed to teach you how to sell, whatever, that's fine. If you're making 5 to 10K a month consistently, your focus needs to be on traffic. Build your audience. And at this point, your investments should either be into somebody who can teach you about marketing or into paid traffic. Okay, those are the things that you really want to be investing in at that point. And then finally, when you're making 10K plus a month, your focus is on automation, scale, and product or service diversification. It's really about making sure that you utilize the traffic you've built, the sales skills that you've learned, and start putting those on autopilot so you can create that time freedom that you're looking for at the same time as continuing to increase your cash flow, increase your revenue generation. And then finally, the other thing I'd love to kind of end on here is, please don't judge yourself and your journey and where you are by somebody else's 10,000th step in theirs. I often get people who come to me and they'll say, but Jess, I didn't make 6 figures in my first 6 months. Or, I'm really worried because I'm 2 years into my business. I haven't started creating passive products yet, or whatever. It doesn't matter. At no point can you compare yourself or your business to anybody else's, because it's always intrinsically and uniquely about you and about your audience. And really, nobody else knows your audience or what they need better than you. And some people's businesses will never be right for passive income products. Some people's businesses wouldn't ever be able to live without them. And it's really about looking at what your mission is for your business, how much revenue you really want to generate in your business, and the tasks that you actually need to focus on and invest in now to help you get to that next level if that's what you need. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, you leave a review. Let me know how you're getting on with the content. Let me know via email if you want to catch up, if you want to be on the podcast yourself, if you want to, ask questions, get live coaching, anything like that, please make sure that you drop me an email, jessica@jessicalorimer.com. And if you haven't already, make sure that you join the free Facebook group, the Smart Leaders Sales Society. At the moment, we're talking about sales planning in there. We're talking about launching. We've got some cool content coming up about how I got featured on Good Morning Britain and some PR hacks, which is going to be very, very cool. So hopefully I will see you in the group or in my inbox or on the podcast on Friday for another amazing live coaching session with one amazing entrepreneur. I will see you in the next episode.